Yes. Welcome to another episode of the Sheesh and Friends podcast. Thanks so much for joining. I'm Sheesh, and these are my friends. We've got Dev at Superlaser on Instagram and Twitter, Shahan at Shahan J. Raja on Instagram and Twitter, and yeah, I'm at Ashish Ari on Instagram and Twitter. And if you want to follow Ryan, I can send you his address later, but he doesn't have social media. So once again, today we're doing a draft. It's going to be a really fun draft, very hard draft for me. We're going to draft our starting five for NBA basketball team. Um, the distinction was that the majority of their career and their peak had to be after 2000. We're also going to be discussing which year we prefer that player from. Okay, so first off, now we changed the format. We're going to be randomizing each and every draft going on. So right now, let's see who gets the number one pick. Randomized.
I just gotta say, I got very screwed by this because if we kept our order, I would have had the number one pick, and I think that sucks.
So something happened here that I just really didn't want to happen. The order is, we'll go number 4. Number 4 is Shahan. Sorry, Shahan.
What?
You got number 4.
Oh, come on!
Number 3.
Oh, come on!
I know. Believe me, this is not what I wanted. Number 3, you've got Ryan. And number 2, you've got me. Which means the number 1 pick goes to Dev.
All right,
which is actually such a tragedy.
With that number 1 pick, I will pick Lakers legend LeBron James.
The best player to ever put on a Lakers jersey, for sure.
If you're gonna go like that, he's not the greatest Laker ever because that would be really dumb to say, but he's definitely the greatest player to ever put on a Lakers jersey. If we're gonna talk about which year of LeBron, if we're gonna talk regular season, it's pretty obvious. It's the year he should have won every single award that they had, other than Sixth Man, which is 2012, 2013, where he just tore the league a new one. And I guess if we're going to go playoffs, I'll take games 5, 6, and 7 LeBron from 2016. I think that's the best basketball has ever been played, period. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it was something like 30-plus points with three blocks and 3 steals on top of that per game. So, yeah, pretty obvious first pick.
Well, all right. That was, pretty standard pick. I get it. Like I said, this is what I was really hoping wouldn't happen. But you know what? I'll take the best Laker of all time, and I'll take Kobe Bryant with my first round pick.
Number 2? Oh, no.
Yes. He's actually one of the greatest. I've looked up to him my whole life whenever I watched him play. My whole family was just like locked in, even if they weren't Lakers fans. If I had to choose one year, I mean, he kind of brought it up another level each playoff round. But in 05-06, he was averaging 35, 5, 5, and 2. And that's freaking incredible. Like I said, Kobe is one of my favorite players, so I'm really happy getting him here in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely the biggest Kobe fan, so I can't argue with it. But I think if we're talking about all-time players, Kobe's chemistry with some of these greats might be up for question.
I'm just taking his skills, and he's going to be amazing. All right? You can just give him the ball. He'll command. He'll just be like, get out the way. Give me the ball. It'll be amazing.
That's the problem.
You're up, Ryan.
So this is a tough one. Being the third pick, I was going to pick LeBron James. But it didn't get that far down. It didn't get that far down. So I can't do that. But this player, he transcended the league across the nation, across the world. He transcended the league. He put up numbers like 24, 9 rebounds, and 3 assists in the 2000s. He's a league MVP. He's a champion and a finals MVP. He's a multiple decade All-Star.
All right, who's your pick, Ryan?
It's going to be the one, the only, Dirk Nowitzki. That's number 3. Unstoppable force. One-legged fadeaway.
Oh.
And the best year, I think, by far, is 2011 when he showed up and he said, I'm winning this. I don't care. He beat LeBron James He beat LeBron James with without an All-Star except for himself. He went
he did have an
48
All-Star.
points up against OKC in those games. He was
I'm pretty sure they had
unstoppable.
I'm pretty sure Kid was an All-Star that year.
I don't think was he that year?
I don't think he was
I
that year.
think so. I have to look it up. Jet might have been too. Jet
Ryan,
was Sixth Man of the Year that year, I think.
As a Dallas Mavs fan myself, I could go with you right there. I was hoping that I could get the pick after you. I knew you were going to take Dirk with your first round pick. It kind of made sense to me. I can't blame him. In the year, I think it's 10-11. He averaged like 25, 9, 4, and 1, 1. He is in the 50, 40, and whatever 90 club.
Yeah,
he's done this so many years. He's an amazing player. Shahan, you're up.
I want to say one more thing.
Okay, go ahead.
He plays with class. He plays with class and integrity. He's a player that every person likes, every person worked with, every person respected, and that's someone I would want on my team and to lead my team.
All right, we get it. He's white. Anyway, my turn. So here's the deal, right? Obviously, if things worked out the way that they should have, I should have had the number 1 pick. But we're gonna be okay about that, because if I can't have LeBron James, I'm going to have the most unstoppable force in the history of the NBA. With my first pick, 4th overall in this draft, I'm taking Shaquille. Nobody else in the 2000s can come close to stopping him.
Yeah,
he's just dead in the 2000s. There were some big.
No, I was saying he's unstoppable.
Yeah, look, in the 2000s. Yeah, he's an unstoppable force. In the 2000s, I mean, I don't think that there's anybody who could match his combination of size and strength. I mean, I really don't think there is. He can push anybody bigger than him around. He can, glide past people who are smaller than him. He's the real deal. And again, here's the deal too, right? Like, I don't have to deal with all this, Cleveland Shaq or Phoenix Shaq. Like, I'm just getting 2000, 2001, 2002, that stretch, Shaquille O'Neal. And look, man, that dude might have been, it was a short run, for 3 years maybe, the most unstoppable force in the history of the NBA. And look, I think that ultimately, whenever you guys put together your teams, you're not going to have any real way of stopping him. So for me, easy pick is Shaquille O'Neal. All right. Now we're going around the other way. I'm back up on the board. Lots of different directions to go. So one thing that, for me to take into account is that, look, I got Shaq. I got somebody who's going to clog up the lane a little bit, right? So that kind of affects where I really want to go with this, right? For me, I'm going to go with the guy who might be the most naturally gifted scorer that the NBA's ever seen, Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Kevin Durant. So here's the deal with him, right? First of all, he can score anywhere on the floor. You don't have to just kind of, you don't have to worry about him sort of having to get into the lane only if Shaq's clogging it up. He's a guy who can score from 3, he can score from 2, he can score from the mid-range, he can get to the line. He's also a very underrated defender and learned a lot during his time with Golden State. I think that he's the type of defender who would do a great job of switching either on guards or power forwards or whoever. But for me, I think that Kevin Durant's next best up on the board.
And you probably have the only player Kevin Durant can't guard on your team.
Absolutely. I'm happy with my pick.
Very nice dynamic duo right there. Ryan, you're back on board.
Try and stop me. Come on.
I was going to take Kevin Durant with my next pick, but you took it right before me. That changes my plan. But this guy is currently in his peak. And he's one of arguably the best small forwards of all time. And not currently, but he can be. He's a finals MVP. He's a 2-time NBA champion. Current stats is 18 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 steals. Arguably the best defender in the league. I got to take Kawhi Leonard with this pick.
Yeah, no, that's pretty respectable. He's definitely a shutdown defender. He's been playing really hot.
He can match up with the likes of KD. He can match up with LeBron. He can match up with the points, the shooting guards. He can stop him. He put him on anybody, he'll shut him down. And he can score and he can take over a game. So I like that pick. And with Dirk, he fits perfectly with Dirk. He provides the defense and the help defense that assists Dirk in his defense. Even though Dirk in his prime is a good defender.
No, he's not.
I mean, he was better
in his prime with
a
help defender like Sean Marion, which Kawhi Leonard is far a better defender than him that complements his defensive abilities.
Yeah, on top of you went on all of the accomplishments of Kawhi, but I think the biggest one is two-time Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, that too. I want to be humble.
Well, I think
I'm
that's a
sure
nice
that's why.
duo you got going over there with Dirk and Kawhi. Well, there's like a run going on small forward, so I guess I'll have to choose the Greek Freak with my second round pick. I mean, right now he's averaging 30, 14, and 6. What more could you want from him? Him and Kobe are just going to rack up the points. You got some defense help too right there. I was actually going to take Kawhi with my next pick, so that was a good pick, Ryan. But I'm happy with the Greek Freak. Dev,
Well,
you're back.
I absolutely cannot believe that this happened, but you guys gave me the greatest player of the 20th century, and now I'm going to get the greatest defender of the 21st century in Tim Duncan. It's very easy. It's very simple. He's the best defender on the board. Like, the only other person all time that compares to him defensively is Hakeem. So I think it's a steal to get him this low. Like, you guys went really modern, but I don't know. I think with LeBron and Duncan running the pick and roll, you tell me who's going to guard that. And Tim Duncan, amazing help defense. I got LeBron to switch 1 through 5. I got Duncan to switch 1 through 5. Like, I'm ready to go. And speaking of defense, I'm going to go absolutely insane here, which is definitely a way big reach. But I need him for this team and the way it's constructed. Klay Thompson is going to be my next pick. Now, it's a crazy reach to take Klay right here. And I know that, but I don't think he's going to come back to me in 8 picks, and I need him. Klay is the best 3-and-D player of all time. We've got LeBron. We've got Duncan. I need three-point shooting, and I need defense. Klay is an amazing defender. He's a great shooter. And the best part about Klay Thompson in a draft like this, he doesn't care about having the ball in his hand.
Yeah, that's the guy who's definitely on my board too. I thought that I could get him a little later than that.
Yeah, I knew you were going to take him before it came back to me, so I had to get him now.
That's pretty interesting. I mean, he was going to be my honorable mentions, to be honest.
And I really thought with this pick that I would be stuck with not Duncan and have Anthony Davis, because I was going to get what should have been the Lakers' big three this year, Davis, LeBron, and Klay, if Klay hadn't gotten hurt. That would have been the most unstoppable big three I think we've seen.
All right. Well, that puts me back for my third round pick already. I'm going to have to take the best point guard available. I didn't think he'd last this long, so I'm just going to have to take Steph Curry.
I was hoping you'd get to me.
Best point guard available was already taken. LeBron went number 1.
Yeah, I highly disagree.
Not available, dude.
Right. But anyways, I'll take the better Splash Brother as well. And Steph Curry, 15-16. He's averaging 30 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds. And he's also 50% at the field goal, 45 at the 3, and 91% at the free throw line. So I'm feeling really good with my 3 picks right here. I was thinking about getting a big, but I'll have to wait. So Ryan, you're up.
To be quite honest with you, I was about to take Steph Curry. So everybody's reading my mind in this draft. This might be a slight stretch, but this guy is a 2-time NBA MVP. This guy is arguably one of the best point guards to ever hold a basketball and play in the NBA. This guy has actually played with one of the players on my team, and they got chemistry. He is 16 points and 9 assists average on his career. This guy's Steve Nash.
Yeah,
I
no,
think he's
that's
a perfect
actually
compliment. I think he's a perfect compliment to the players. He can facilitate. He's gritty. He's strong. Great leader. I think he's one of the greatest point guards to play the game.
he's actually my favorite point guard of all time. I actually wanted to take him in like the 5th round or 4th round. I got Curry, which is like the updated version. But Nash is really one of the best players, and like you said, him and Dirk, that's one hell of a combo. Can't blame me for that.
That not enough people talk about the fact that Nash was an incredible shooter. Nash would fit perfectly in a team like this.
I mean, he was the Curry for that time, you know?
Yeah.
He was the one scoring all the time, and his numbers were insane. I think he just averaged like the best 3-point, free throw, field goal. Is just spectacular. It was really fun to watch those teams. Okay, Sean, you're back.
Whew. Okay, back-to-back guys who I wanted to take are now off the board in Nash and Curry. Those are guys that I definitely considered with this spot. Okay. There's a lot of different directions I think I can go with this because, obviously I've got sort of my go-to wing and my go-to big. But, I mean, KD can play the 3 or the 4 in my opinion. I think you could even slot him at the 2 if you really wanted to. That makes this pick a lot harder for me. Now, Ryan, I will say you are going to be defending. You're basically going to be asking Kawhi to defend every single player on the court because Nash and Dirk is a horrific defensive combination. But I think that you take that trade off. Obviously, where to go? All right, I am going to stick with the guards for right now. So again, I've got KD and I've got Shaq so far, and so with it, I'm gonna take a guy who's really going to pull both of those guys together. I'm going to take Jason Kidd. I think that Jason Kidd obviously developed into a great shooter later in his career, so I think that he'd be able to sort of be that standstill shooter playing off of KD and Shaq. He's a guy who could facilitate. He's a guy who could get everybody the ball. One of the best point guard defenders of this era. A guy who really distributes well, a guy who can score, who can drive, who can defend, but doesn't necessarily need to do any of those things. He's perfectly happy playing off the ball too. One of those guys who's just one of those great intangible players, somebody who I think brings a lot to your team from that perspective. Look, again, I mean, he wasn't my top guard available, but I think that he actually fits really well on this team.
No, like you said, I was actually looking towards Nash or Kidd to fall to me later on. Those are two great point guards. Kidd himself, like you said, very good defensive player. That was very underrated because he's just such a good, at getting points and assists. In 02-03, he's averaging 18, 9, and 6. I mean, he's grabbing his own rebounds too, Like, that's pretty incredible. Okay, next up.
I'm back up.
Yeah, back to back.
Okay. So I got a guard, a forward, and a center. That's what I'm working with right now. And obviously, I'm happy with all three of my picks so far. I think that, again, you got the most dominant scorer of this era, and you got the most dominant player maybe of all time, and along with a guy who kind of brings them all together. I think now is when you start needing to really fill in those pieces, right? You got to look at what we're not as good at. I think that we could use some shooting. I think that we could use some defense, just next to Shaq. I mean, obviously, Shaq and KD and Kidd are all good defenders, but I think that the guy that I'm going to pick next is the guy who can really pull that front court together. I'm going to pick Kevin Garnett. Garnett, one of the best defenders on the board. Fantastic help defender. I think also he would do a pretty good job of playing next to Shaq because he can shoot that mid-range jumper. He plays more in the high post, so I think you could have some high-low action going on. A phenomenal passer. I think that actually he and Shaq would work really, really, really well together. And again, doesn't take away from, I think, those other guys. And you got a guy in Kidd who obviously, if you played either the Garnett kid or the Shaq kid pick and roll, I think that they could absolutely decimate anybody.
You actually have a perfect triangle team. Like, KG is the perfect triangle player.
Oh, no doubt. And again, I mean, I think that whatever we're running, I mean, I want to be able to be versatile, right? I think that, Shaq's not necessarily the most versatile, but I think that Kidd, KD, and Garnett are all guys who could play anywhere on the court, who could play off of each other, who could play on ball. That's really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for guys who can cause issues in different areas of the courts.
Yeah, I think you did well with those picks for sure.
Yep. Ryan, you're back. What do you got for us? Hopefully, Shahan didn't take what you wanted.
No, he didn't actually. Because Shahan wasn't kidding around. Get it? Kidding.
But I picked Kidd.
But
that's like the opposite.
Exactly.
That's like the opposite of the jump.
I did not get that. No, I did not get that.
So previously, Shahan stated that my team is really lacking in defense, and I was thinking about defense a lot, and I think this player, he's one of the top players currently in the league. I think he's a big man, good defense, was a blocks leader a couple years on the defensive all teams the past couple years. He's a good offensive skill set.
All right, Ryan, what's the pick?
This guy, hey, I'm hyping. This guy's 7-time All-Star, 23, 11, and 2. This guy's Anthony Davis.
Ooh. All right.
get the pick and roll with Steve Nash, open up the lane still with a 3-point shot, give Dirk some space to work, help with the defense. Whew.
Look, all I'm going to say is that a Dirk Anthony Davis front court would get absolutely demolished by Shaquille O'Neal. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, you don't have a center. You needed to take someone like Dwight. I thought that's where you were going with it. Dwight would have been perfect.
But right for them. With who? Who are you gonna hack out of the game? Who are you gonna get 6 fouls on? No,
well,
I mean, obviously with that, you're going with sort of a different look. You're going for more of a versatile front court, one that'll pull Shaq out to the 3-point line than anything.
Exactly.
Yeah, and AD is shooting 40% in 2020 from 3, so he can shoot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, guys, that puts me back up. I'm really confused right here. All my favorite bigs are gone. Still need one more forward. I think that's where I'll lean. I really wanted Kevin Garnett. I think he'd put it all together, but I think, give me 1 second here. These are nasty names I'm looking at right now. Okay, you know what? I'll just give Kawhi. No, I don't even have Kawhi. Yikes. Whatever. I'll just take Paul George. You know what? Why not?
What?
Oh, my pick!
Yeah.
What?
You know what? I want to.
What?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. You know what? I'll put Greek Freak at the 4. You know, Paul George can shoot threes. He's decent on the perimeter on defense. 18-19, he averaged 28, 8, and 4. Like I said, I really thought, I was like, oh, I have Kawhi. I'll take Paul George too. Nope, I didn't have Kawhi, but I'll just stick with Paul George. Put him at the 3, Greek Freak at the 4, and I'll just take a big with my next round.
I'm out on your team, man. I'm out.
I actually would have loved the Paul George pick for my team, because I think with Clay, LeBron, Duncan, you get PG in there, you'd have a great defensive core, but I've got great picks right here. I mean, there's still so many great players on the board. So I'm not exactly sure where I'm going to go. All right. Well, this person, all right. So I want people who I know can play with other All-Stars. And this person never got the chance to really play with other All-Stars in their NBA career, but they did a ton on Team USA, and they were arguably the best Team USA player ever, Carmelo Anthony.
Take him. I don't want him.
I look, Carmelo Anthony, I know he gets a bad rep for all of the right reasons when it came to him playing in the NBA, because he wanted money, he didn't want to play with other stars in the NBA, but we know for a fact he can play with stars on Team USA. He's a great shooter. He's going to fit perfect in my lineup. He's going to pull some big men out, and I'm just going to use him as a spot-up shooter half the time anyway. He'll be great at it. So I'm going to take Carmelo Anthony, and then I got the last pick here. So right now my team, I'm having LeBron at the point. I got Clay at the 2, Melo at the 3. I'm actually slotting Duncan at the 5 right now. And I'm going to take another person, probably the most skilled big man of the 20th century. Give me Pau Gasol. And I know Pau Gasol may not have been on everyone's draft board, but if you didn't watch Pau Gasol in 2009, 2010, please just go watch him. There were times when he was better than Kobe on those teams. Pau Gasol was amazing. He was great. He can shoot. He's got amazing footwork in the post. He's a pretty decent defender. He's a great passer, and that's everything I need. I got passing, defense, and I got the only person who could stop Shaq in his prime, Tim Duncan.
Stop. I mean,
I
don't know about that.
So when the Lakers played the Spurs in the 2000s, who beat them? Who beat the Spurs? It was not Shaq.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't need to. He just went on straight to the finals, man.
Okay, guys. All right. With my last pick, I really messed up on my last round. I'm really feeling it right now. I got worried. I had someone in my mind. I should have just picked. You know what? I'm just in a mess right now. So why not? I'm just going to take Joel Embiid with my last pick. All right. I mean, there's no going against Shaq. Shaq's just a monster. But look at Embiid's stats, 18-19. He can score a lot, 28 points average right there, 14 rebounds, and 4 assists. There's some other names right there with some bigs that I thought about, but I'll go with Joel Embiid to finish my team.
Embiid over Howard?
Yeah, because I think Howard would clog the lane a little bit too much more, and I have Greek Freak that needs to score and dunk down there, so that's kind of why I swayed that way.
4 of your 5 players need the ball in their hands, for the record.
You know what? Whatever. We'll figure it out. All right.
This is why I pick stars that don't need it.
Yeah, meh. It's okay. No biggie. Ryan, you're next.
Oof, this is a tough one because I got great point guard, great small forward, great power forward / center.
Stop looking at my team, Ryan.
He's not.
And a great.
He has a power forward on his roster.
Center. Huh. There's a lot of good shooting guards on the board right now. And actually, there's one. Not only are they one of the top 2,000 players, they're one of the top players that ever play the game, period. And they're still on the board. It's tough, but I can't leave them on the board in the top 5, the top 25, I should say. I think I'm gonna stretch this a little bit, go on a limb, but he needs a ball in his hand a lot. That's my issue.
Okay, just choose your person, Ryan.
I'm just gonna. I gotta go with this guy. 2001 MVP, 28.
Yeah, let's go. What's his name? What's his name?
Allen Iverson.
Okay, yeah.
Obviously should have been #1 overall pick. I'm sorry, guys. I let you all down. I couldn't do it.
I thought that you were going in a different direction.
I thought he was going D Wade.
Yeah, that's where I thought that he was going too.
I thought you were going to team up Dirk and D Wade. I was about to be really shocked right there. But all right, AI, he has really nice handle.
An assassin beat Shaq one game in the finals.
one game.
Stepped over time.
You remember that one game?
I mean, he can score at will.
Well, that game was in LA,
wasn't it? Together.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, Kawhi's going to be doing a lot of heavy lifting on that defense. You got Nash, Iverson, and Dirk all trying to play defense right now against some of the greatest players of all time. But I'm not the one making the rules, I guess.
Hey, he's got AD to do it too.
Cool.
All right, Shahan, end the draft right here. What do you got?
Man, okay. Obviously, I mean, I can talk openly about the players because everybody's already picked. Obviously, D-Wade's still available, right? He's clearly the best player left on the board. But I got KD, Garnett, and Shaq. I kind of feel like I could use some more shooting at this point. Yeah, there's a couple different directions I could go. What's up?
You take D-Wade over CP3. CP3's still on the board.
He hasn't taken anyone yet. But
I'd take D-Wade over.
Best player still available.
I would. I think it's close, but I would. Yeah, I mean, but Wade's lack of shooting is a little bit of an issue for me, especially playing next to Jason Kidd. So I got to do it. I got to take the guy who Ashish and I talked about earlier, the original Klay Thompson in a lot of ways, Ray Allen.
Yeah, he was on my board too.
One of the greatest shooters of all time. I actually think that obviously if he had played in this era, I think that he could be one of the greatest ever, period. Like, I mean, I think that he would have been a perfect fit for the modern NBA. Again, when you look at the rest of my team, he's definitely a guy who can play off the ball and proved it in a big way in Boston. You got Jason Kidd, who's a guy who can kind of get the ball to everybody. You got KD, who's a guy who can create a shot on the perimeter. You got a guy in Shaq who can create a shot down low. You got Garnett who can just tie everything together. I think I've got a perfect basketball team, and I would absolutely take mine over all of yours.
Honestly,
and you have a team. All 5 players have played with other stars.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's very important.
That's an amazing team right there. I really wanted Shaq. I wanted that 3 or 4 seed really badly to get Dirk or Shaq. I missed out on both. That's a really solid team, Shahan. Dev, you want to hype up your team?
Yeah. Well, I don't really know what else to say. You got the greatest player of the 2000s, Duncan. You got the greatest player of the 2010s, LeBron. I mean, I've got Klay, the second best shooter of all time, the best 3-and-D player ever, and yeah, I mean that's all I need really. I've got Pau Gasol. He can do just about everything. Great skill player. And I got Melo, who can also slot. I think my team is great defensively. I have Melo, which is a little bit of a defensive liability, but I think in this situation, Melo can really step up.
Yep, definitely wouldn't have chose Melo. I don't like Melo, but he can really score up the game. He's a really
Melo
good
had
shooter.
this draft. He is one of the 20 best players in the 2010 to the
He is, but
2000s.
so is D Wade, and D Wade didn't get off the board either.
Yeah. All right, Ryan, give me hype up your team for us. What do you got here?
I think my team, even though there is a lack of defense, got one of the best defensive players that ever played in the NBA with Kawhi Leonard. And it's going to be one of the offensive juggernauts of teams with Steve Nash, who creates, with Dirk, who creates on his own, with with Anthony Davis, who can shoot the three, Kawhi, who can create his own offense, and then Allen Iverson, who's just an offensive mastermind. That's going to be a prolific offense with Greg Popovich at helm. Anything can be possible with that team. So I think, and then Anthony Davis with Kawhi Leonard, and then Dirk's great team defense in the 2000s. I think that can help patch up some of the gaps in the D. We play some zone or 2-3 or some press, or we'll figure it out.
Yeah, play some zone against Ray Allen, man. Come on, come at it.
I'll put Steve
Dude,
Nash
box and one.
Who's the one though? That's the issue.
Allen Iverson will be on that guy. We'll figure it out.
All right. Well, okay. I got Steph Curry, Kobe Bryant, Paul George, Greek Freak, Giannis, and Embiid. You know, I'm happy with my team. These are great players. You know what? We're just gonna give the ball to one player at a time each quarter, and we'll be fine. Okay. Greek Freak and Paul George also grew up and love Kobe, so they're getting to play with their idol. So there you go. I feel really good about my team. I don't think I'll win this draft, but you know, it is what it is.
Shout out to the all-time greats who didn't get picked. Wade, CP3, Harden, Westbrook.
Yeah, Shahan, you wanted to mention some honorable mentions too, right?
Well, first, I just need a cool 10 seconds to trash all of your teams combined. So, Ryan, nobody on your team plays any defense. You're going to be in big trouble when you go up against me. Ashish, it's too many of your guys need to play on the ball. I think that's going to be a huge issue, bad chemistry. Dev, the only guy who can create for others on the perimeter is LeBron James. Clay and Melo don't do that. They're two ball dominant. I'm taking all my teams over all of you. I don't care.
I don't need anyone else. I don't need anyone else to create. Who are you stopping, Duncan?
But my honorable mention, who's just a guy who's my favorite, who I just want to mention from the 2000s, Ben Gordon, man. That's the dude who coming off the bench could have absolutely murdered some dudes. He's obviously not one of the all-stars, great players, and all that sort of stuff, but man, we need to talk about Ben Gordon more.
Derrick Rose?
Yeah, once I didn't have any shooting on my team, that was out the window.
Okay, yeah. As Dev mentioned, CP3, really good player. I thought about him at point guard. Westbrook, I mean, yeah, whatever. I don't like him as a player, but he can fill up the stat sheet. Ryan, Dev, you have any other ones you want to mention?
Dwight Howard?
Dwight Howard was one.
Mentions.
I mean,
I have a couple honorable mentions.
I think this is way too many that we didn't choose. I mean, there's just so many
T-Mac,
options.
Vince Carter.
T-Mac, yeah. If I didn't get KD, I was going to pick T-Mac.
Yeah, I got stuck with Kobe, which I'm happy with, but I was really going to take T-Mac in the last round.
I would have taken Shaq.
Number 2.
Shaq was number 2 on my board.
Okay, well, you guys can suck it, because no one yells Shaq when they're shooting shots, all right? No one does that.
That's true.
But there's a lot of good players.
Yeah, because we can do what Kobe does. We can't do what Shaq does.
Exactly. There you go. I actually was thinking about teaming up Steve Nash and Amari. Amari was going to be my sneak pick.
He was on my board.
We have time.
Yeah.
I would like to. Does anyone have coaches? Top coaches? You thought so?
Just Poppin is not close.
I mean, Pop's number.
No,
sure.
I mean, you have Phil.
Yeah.
Five championships in the 2000s.
You do. I think that's what Duncan built. Carlisle's a great coach. No, I mean, I think that if you're just talking 2000s, though, like, just what Pop was able to maintain over 20 years, basically, I think is just insane.
Oh, he's number one for sure. But like Ryan said, I mean, as Mavs fans, obviously we like Rick Carlisle. He did amazing things with the Pistons and the Pacers beforehand as well. Doc Rivers, mentionable right there. And like Dev said,
Most
Phil Jackson.
overrated coach in NBA history, Doc Rivers.
Correct.
Yeah,
I think you have to mention Eric Spoelstra in the conversation as well.
Spoelstra is a great coach.
yeah.
But one other honorable mention, a guy who I was planning to pick with my 5th pick because I figured nobody else would take him, but then Kevin Garnett was available. I was going to take Chris Bosh. I think that Chris Bosh would be a phenomenal fit next to Shaq. I think he would have been tremendous. But again, I got Kevin Garnett, so I'm not going to pick Chris Bosh.
You
I
know
have one
what?
honorable mention.
Okay, yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Actually, I have 2.
Go ahead.
I have Baron Davis, who I think is an underrated but a great player who just was injury prone. And also, I want to give a shout out to Sean Marion and Paul Pierce.
No, not Paul Pierce.
Paul
Get that
Pierce he led that Boston team. Okay, and Sean Marion is someone.
He
And
was
then
the third best player, but okay.
Yao
Yeah.
Ming.
No. Sean
Yeah.
Marion has like shut down.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yao Ming was on my draft board. Definitely a player that was built for the 2010s, but unfortunately had to play in the 2000s.
Well, I guess we need to just have another conversation about this. There's way too many players we can talk about, but that's a wrap on this great episode. Thanks so much for tuning in. You can vote, ask questions, and give us segment ideas at our Twitter handles or on Instagram. Shahan J. Raja, very easy. Supaleza, Ashish Sherry. And until next time, thanks so much. See ya.